it's our 3 years here, in our 3 years watching him day in and day out, that you guys don't have access to. And so he will be ready to go and ready for the moment.
That is Coach Sean Payton talking about Jarrett Stidham. Welcome to Chad Brown and DMac, part of Altitude Football. We're doing a little bit of a side eye on the Hoosiers that lead 3-0 on Miami right now as they have a couple minutes to go in the first quarter. So we'll give you some updates as that game goes as well. But we're here to talk about the AFC Championship game against Chad's New England Patriots and Chad's Denver Broncos. And just some initial thoughts on the game, and then we can dig deeper into Stidham and the Patriots and the whole thing.
Obviously, it was a tremendous game. Anytime a playoff game goes into overtime, tip of the cap to both teams. In the end, Josh Allen played his worst game of the year. And I have experienced that myself when a future Hall of Fame quarterback on my team chooses to play his worst game of the year in Denver in the playoffs.
I got to think about that for a second. Where's the Hall of Fame quarterback? Are you talking about Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Benjamin Watson, Champ Bailey.
Okay.
In Denver.
Okay. Was that 2006?
That was 2005 season, but it was calendar year was 2006. Yes.
Okay. Wow. You were on that Patriots team.
I was.
Wow. We've never really talked about that game that you were part of. I don't remember. I mean, of course, everybody remembers the Champ Bailey and what actually, now you look back on it, dude, that was fumbled through the end zone, bro. I mean, that should have come out to the 20, right?
Yes.
But no replay.
Yep.
Wow. If there was replay, one of the greatest hustle plays of all time would have had the ball back out on the 20-yard line, right? Most likely.
And so similar situation, a playoff game in Denver, all those things, Hall of Fame quarterback having his worst game of the season, and then a controversial call.
Wow.
As part of the outcome.
Wow. Well, take us back. What was the feeling on the sideline? What was the level of frustration? We only think of that from a Broncos epic side of things. I've never even put two iotas of effort into thinking about that from a Patriots perspective.
Obviously, you're talking about the game overall or that play call?
That particular call, because obviously we'll blend right into the Cooks, Jaquan McMillan play too. Obviously, that's where we're going. But yeah, what was the overall vibe there on the call?
Well, of course, I don't think there's ever been a coach who goes over the rules as extensively as Bill Belichick would. So we were well aware of the rule and how it was supposed to play out. But just because you're aware of the rule doesn't mean you get the ruling.
Right.
So, at some point, you got to move on to the next play. And so we had to move on to the next play. And, of course, it ended up being I believe the only multiple interception game that Tom Brady had.
Wow.
So of all the games to have his worst game, he did that. And from a Buffalo Bill perspective, they almost won. Obviously, the game went to overtime. It was a 3-point win. For him to have his worst game, be responsible for 4 turnovers.
Wow.
Despite the heroic effort, because we're used to him being Superman, but the rest of his teammates put together a heroic effort. And he was the one who, despite Deion Jordan, crying about that in the locker room about his quarterback saying he let them down. Yes, he did let his Buffalo Bills team down. And now Sean McDermott is looking for a job.
Yeah, this is a little bit of Josh Allen.
I feel like I let my teammates down tonight.
Your emotion.
It's Deion Dawkins, by the way. Deion Dawkins.
Yeah. It feels like he let you guys down. How do you react when your quarterback who's done so much for you says that to you guys?
He let us down.
Those emotions are real, Chad. I'm sure you can identify with them.
Oh, yeah. I cried after that Broncos playoff game for more reasons just the loss. I thought it was my last football game ever. But yeah, there were tears. Every playoff loss I've ever had, there's always been tears in that locker room. Legitimate, real, grown man, boo-hoo tears. Kevin Green, one of the toughest dudes ever, jumped out of airplanes, wrestled, was a Hall of Fame football player. After we lost that Super Bowl to the Cowboys, I don't think I could have got him off the ground. He was crying so hard.
Wow.
So yeah, it sucks. I know Bronco fans are elated, or at least were temporarily elated with the win until the news about Bo Nix came out. But there's another side to that, and the other side is painful and it's crushing, and it hurts because you invested so much into it. And in fact, I would be upset if my teammates weren't crying, because that would mean to me that they didn't invest emotionally enough into it. You're supposed to pour all yourself into this thing in order to be successful. And when you're one of these last teams standing, as the Broncos and Bills were, and you don't come out up top, yeah, tears should be a real emotion.
Well, you've told the story about how a former teammate, whoops, I'm pointing over here, teammate in the professional ranks had his bags packed before the game. Hey man, we got one more game here. I got it. The season's not going anywhere, but I don't need to see your bags packed, right, Chad? Like, you don't need to see that, right?
Just real quick for those who don't know those stories. So I was with the Seahawks. We were playing the Broncos late in the season. The Seahawks were not going to the playoffs. So as we got on the plane to go from Seattle to Denver, I noticed a number of guys, not just one guy, number of guys.
Okay.
They're not bringing on a small roller bag for the weekend. They were bringing on full-size freaking luggage in suitcases, because after that game was over, their offseason was beginning. They were not flying back to Seattle with the team. They were mentally in Cabo before that game kicked off.
That is too much. Well, we'll get to the McMillan Cooks play here in a second, but everything goes better with Journey Spice. And if you want some tasty treats for the national championship game, I mean, Anna and Rosa, they got the machines cranking out. They got the deliciousness on tap. I know I'm grabbing you a little bit later in the day here. My apologies for that, as I was going to a hockey game here. So I don't know what you got going for dinner, or if you already had dinner, Chad. What was on the menu tonight for you?
Tonight is sweet potato, edamame, and some chicken. I'm leaving town, so it was just what's available in the fridge.
Gotcha.
But a little za'atar on top of your edamame.
Okay.
Way more fun. Edamame. A little Moroccan seasoning on your sweet potato. Now it's just it went from a sweet potato to, damn, that's a good sweet potato. So no matter what your investment as far as time goes, if you're doing it simple like I am tonight, Journey Spice can still take your food to another level.
Save yourself 10% by using the code 2026 playoffs, and just use this QR code, and they'll hook you up and they'll do right by you. Okay, was it a reception, or was it a interception, or a reception? What do you think?
If it had just been that play, initially I thought it was a reception.
Okay.
But then we have to bring in the Devontae Adams play from yesterday. But just specifically in that play, initially I thought it was a reception because of the battle that happened in the air. Because the Brandon Cooks, he had two hands on the ball. Jaquan McMillan only had one hand in there. It was clear to me that Cooks, if it was a battle in the air, had won the battle in the air. But when he hit the ground, I thought he hit his head, probably was temporarily concussed or stunned, lost control of the football. Jaquan McMillan then rips it away. So if you were to think about a receiver trying to catch a pass, and in the process of catching the pass with no contact with anybody else, falls on his back and the ball pops up, it's an interception. So what happened in the air ultimately doesn't matter as to who controls the ball once contact with the ground has happened. So initially I thought catch. Once I thought it through a little bit from the scenario that I just presented, taking out the in the air scenario, it's clear that it's an interception. The Devontae Adams thing now is a little bit of a different circumstance because he wasn't in the air. There wasn't a tussle in the air.
Right.
His knee went down, which makes him down.
Right.
But a guy flying in the air, when he hits the ground, isn't he down then? How down do you have to be down? And so the NFL's got to figure out how to parse that, because these two plays, in my mind, they bring up that question, when are you down?
Well, I think it makes common sense. I think if you catch it and you're somewhat running with it and your knee goes down as part of a tackle, I think you're down. You're down when your knee hits. But I do think when you launch yourself, you've got to survive, as they say, the ground, in my opinion. For example, if Jaquan McMillan wasn't around Cooks at all, say Cooks just caught the ball, dove for it, and then hit the ground and the ball popped out, that's incomplete. It's an incomplete pass, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference? And you just brought up Addy hit the ground and the ball popped up and somebody caught it. Well, that's an interception too. So there's a difference between I'm running with the ball and I'm diving for the ball. That's the surviving the ground part of the rule, which I think is a good rule. And that is a little bit different than it was perhaps in years past. And, you know, with replay, you can really look at things. But I thought the call based on what the rule is now was 100% correct.
I would have liked a bit more replay on it it was so fast.
Well, that's what Sean McDermott was saying too.
Yeah. Just to verify it a bit. But yeah, in the end, it's a catch. Because I think my scenario in my mind cleans it up completely. You catch the ball, you fall to the ground, the ball pops up in the air, someone else intercepts it. It's still an interception.
Yeah, but that being said, Chad, is this a hold? Let me ask you, is that a hold right there, my friend?
That is a hold. Absolutely, that's a hold. So a hold while the quarterback is in the end zone is a safety.
Now, I've gone through this too. The hold has to happen in the safety, in the end zone. Not like the quarterback could be at the 2 or 3 yard line, but and if I'm wrong, correct me. But does the hold have to be in the end zone? And when you think about a hold, is it where the hold begins or where the hold ends up? Like, where would you call this? Like, because you can see right there, technically, DJ Jones is not in the end zone, not quite. I mean, he's about to be, in like a millisecond, he's about to be, but he's not right there.
I haven't had time to look up the rule, but my understanding is if the quarterback is in the end zone and there's a hold, it's a safety.
Yeah, I'm not that bright. I'm not that smart, Janae. But that being said, can you imagine if this game ended on a safety, Chad? I mean, can you imagine if this game ended on a safety?
Well, it should have. I mean, that's indisputable evidence. You got two arms around a guy's neck and you're grabbing him from behind. There is not a blocking technique on the planet.
I think Zach Allen's being held too. Now that I look at that, I mean, he's got an arm wrapped around him, right? So that might be a hold as well.
Yeah. But late in the game, things get a little bit looser with some of that. I'm sure Bills fans hate hearing that with the 2 pass interference penalties.
Yeah,
because the second one was far more legitimate than the first one, but the first one he clearly grabbed his arm, held him back. So I always get a kick out of fans complaining about the refs after the game. It's always just such an interesting thing because you can't go back. It's not going to change anything. It just is what it is.
All right, and this is the play, and I think this is the moment right here, by the way. If you look at that pressure on Bo Nix's right ankle as he's cutting right there, I think that's the moment that he broke his ankle, basically, Chad. All right, let me take this from a couple of different angles. What did you think of Sean Payton calling so many design runs for Bo Nix? Let me start there.
I thought it was great because the run game wasn't clicking, and he had to keep the defense honest in some way. So I don't think it's a great formula for success when your quarterback continues to be your leading rusher. I don't think it's a great formula of success when your quarterback throws the ball 46 times.
Yeah.
So there was something about the play design, play calling that left something to be desired. At the same time, if you can't run the ball legitimately, what are you supposed to do as a coach? What are you supposed to do as a play caller? The runs don't have to be super effective to begin to affect the defense, but they have to have a basic level of effectiveness, and we weren't getting that from the run game.
We talked about this quite a bit, didn't we? We said this is what the Bills give up. They give up runs, and in particular, they give up runs to the quarterback. I didn't think you had a choice. I thought, you've got to dial some up. Now, there were like 46 passes, but a lot of them, Chad, were like 5-6 yard dump downs. They're the super safe passes, the virtual passes, right? RJ Harvey didn't run the ball that well, but hey, man, we'll take a 24-yard reception when we really need it late in the game, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, okay, the numbers were a little weird, askew, but let me go to your take on it. Do you view those super safe passes as the same as running the ball in handoffs, or is it really its own thing?
From an offensive perspective, yes, those are an extension of the run game. From a defensive perspective, no, they're not. You react to them differently. You play them differently. Those super safe passes don't have a physical toll on your body that defending the run does. So I get where we're trying to replace the run game with that, because that can be possibly more effective. But if there's an opportunity to run the ball, particularly in the playoffs where people are beat up, where people are fatigued, where defenses are worn down, then run the ball, because that has an effect that will allow those plays to be far more successful in the third quarter and then particularly in the fourth quarter.
All right, let's get to some news and some comments here as soon as we talk about the Stidham factor, and we will do that coming up next. Thank you to Journey Spice.
There's a world of flavor out there, and to find it, you have to take the journey. Journey Spice Company handcrafts the most premium spice and seasoning blends that have no sugar, no salt, are certified USDA organic, non-GMO, vegan-friendly, and always planet-friendly. You are going to love serving amazingly delicious creations while knowing you helped reduce single-use plastics. Make sure to search for Journey Spice Company on Amazon today.
To Journey Spice and save yourself 10% by using the code 2026 playoffs. We'll get to some of your comments. We see you in there. We appreciate everybody watching. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Chad, where were you when you heard about the Bo Nix news?
I was doing the Broncos post-game live podcast that I do with Kristen Brown. So our producer jumped in and he's like, hey guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure if you saw it. And we saw some comments on the comment line, but we thought it was a joke. Like, how could this be? So we just ignored them. He's like, no, it's the real deal. And so we were able to grab the clip from Sean Payton when he came back out for that second presser. And the emotional roller coaster of such a win after having so many wins like that during the season, to have that feeling of relief and elation and then deflation not more than 30 minutes later, it was quite shocking.
Not good news. On the second to last play in overtime, Bo fractured a bone in his right ankle. He's scheduled to have surgery Tuesday of this week, which will put him out for the rest of the season. Stiddy's ready to go. And it was the second to last play before he.
All right, and he went on like that. I was on the Mile High post-game show on Altitude TV outside the stadium, so I was in a weird spot because I had just been inside. Chad, I was just there with Sean Payton, and we're like, oh, okay, we're done, right? It's all good. The sound machine and the music and the smoke, and it's all over. I go outside, and I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? So I went back inside. And I was doing my creeping around, a little snooperoony there. And they had a big black SUV that was lined up right at the Broncos entrance to their locker room. So not an ambulance, but a vehicle so that nobody could see Bo and that he would literally just go right. It's like something that, I don't know, Lady Gaga would have set up, you know what I'm saying? Or Taylor Swift, just you walk right out and go in. Now, Izzy Smoke, his girlfriend, has posted a photo that we used in the thumbnail actually for this podcast, and it was surreal. Like, Bo was sitting there in full uniform except for his cleat and his sock and tape on his right foot, and he was just sitting on the ground with his parents and Jarrett Stidham and a couple of coaches, and they were just sitting there, Chad, waiting for this whole thing to sort of unveil itself as to what to do next. Surreal. And that SUV was there for a long period of time. I mean, this is way after the locker room had shut down and everything was done. So Bo was in there, Chad, for quite a long period of time before he even left, and they announced that he was going to go have the surgery. So I think Sean did the right thing by coming out and telling the press. Like, there were too many Snoopy people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he missed his interview on KOA. There's SUVs waiting for him by the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, this would have got out. It would have and been an unbelievable rumor mill. So I think he handled it the right way by coming out and addressing what's going on. I think that was a smart move. And then the second thing is the readiness of Jarrett Stidham. And I'm dying to know what your take is on that.
I know Jarrett Stidham was picked by Sean Payton to be the backup. And I know he values that position way more than a lot of teams ever would. And so I think it's smart on Sean Payton's part. And the Broncos are willing to pay a lot of money for that guy, a lot more than a lot of teams ever would. But even though you're handpicked, even though you look good in practice, even though you're highly paid for your backup position, you haven't played any significant minutes since late 2023, early 2024, that game against the Raiders and I believe the Chargers at the end of the season there. So it's been a long time. And to do that at the tempo and pace of a championship game, it's an uphill climb. But for any backup quarterback around the league to be able to pull this off, I would go with the guy who was handpicked. I would go with the guy who had good numbers when he's played in the past. I would go with the guy who was drafted in New England with the desire and hope for him to become Tom Brady's replacement. So there's a lot of high regard for this guy in the league. Now he gets an opportunity to prove it in the most difficult of circumstances.
What do you think that I should check here because they were a 5.5 RJ. I love the crazy idea of bringing in Tom Brady. We did look that up, Chad, but you can't do it if you're owner, you're part owner or whatever. But don't tell me Tom Brady wouldn't want to give that a shot. I know we would have. We're just talking about one, hopefully 2 games, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, are there? I was going to ask there was a conference call yesterday, and I did not get called on. I am in the doghouse too. My gosh, you talk about Luke Evans. At least they call him Luke Evans. But my question was going to be, was there any consideration to signing somebody who isn't even in football? And actually, they kind of did. They signed Ben DiNucci. But, were there any other external candidates that would have made sense? The concept that Tom Brady would come back for 2 games, Chad, is just juicy. It's not going to happen, obviously. And then somebody was looking up Drew Brees' age, and he's 47 years old, and, that's not going to happen either. But still, it was a fascinating thing. Things do happen like that in the playoffs. People get added all the time. The point spread is 5.5. Okay, so, and it started off at 4.5. It went up to 5.5, so some serious money came in just even to move it a point. What do you think the Broncos' chances are with Stidham? How do you think this impacts the game?
Clearly, it impacts the game. Stiddy is not the same kind of athlete and explosive in the run game that Bo Nix can be. I see the text line talking about Phillip Rivers. That name had to be brought up in conversation between Sean Payton and George Payton. But I think Stiddy can guide the ship. Will the rest of the Broncos team need to play exceptional football? Yeah, you would need that anyway in a championship game. But you're going to have to find another level, another gear to your game. So Vance Joseph in the defense, show up, get a couple of turnovers, give Stiddy a short field. The run game now with RJ Harvey looking like he's going to be back and active. Okay, let's get that going. Let's make that a priority for this week. So there's all this opportunity for other guys to make plays and pick up the slack in some way. And hopefully Stiddy can just go out and be average. He doesn't have to be great. You can be average at quarterback if the rest of your team is dynamic. If he throws a bunch of short passes and we get lots of yards after catch and it ends up being an explosive play, well, it doesn't matter if it's only a 3-yard pass if it's a 22-yard game.
Yeah.
hit people in stride so they can make yards after catch. If the run game is working, then maybe we don't need to necessarily pass the ball 46 times. But if you're only going to pass it 25 times, but 15 of those are off of play action, and you get a chance to go deep with deep digs and deep balls, that's an opportunity there where you're not exposing your guy to 46 passes, but you're giving him much easier reads and opportunities to get big completions and explosive plays.
For what it's worth, Jarrett Stidham is bigger than Bo Nix. He's got a stronger arm than Bo Nix, but he doesn't scramble around like Bo Nix. I mean, not even close. Bo athletically is better than Stidham. Bo also has way more experience than Jarrett Stidham. Not a little bit more experience, way more experience. And but it's not like Stiddy hasn't been playing in NFL games. Now, clearly it's not a lot, Chad. But what Sean Payton says is that he's been around him for 3 years, and that's what's mattered the most. So there's something about Stidham that they do like. Okay, I think they're going to be fine playing a ball control, sort of non-mistake oriented game. And what I mean by that is no ridiculous chances. If we have to punt the ball, fine. And Jeremy Crawshaw for the Broncos has actually been incredible. That dude has been an amazing under the radar MVP sort of guy for the special teams. He's been fantastic. I think the Broncos are just going to try to drag this one out, Chad, not make any mistakes, and not ask Stidham to do anything heroic. And guess who else used that strategy? Gary Kubiak with Peyton Manning to win a Super Bowl, Chad. That's exactly how he played it.
Big difference between Stiddy and Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage. Peyton Manning brought so much at the line of scrimmage to make sure they're always in the best place. That's going to be hard, far harder for Stiddy to do. And again, I love Sean Payton's optimism. I've been around the guy. I know who he is. I know his character. I trust him. That's awesome. But he hasn't played. He hasn't played. And so to not play any significant minutes since probably the preseason and any significant regular season minutes since late 2023, early 24, it's a long time. It's a massive leap to go to the championship game and expect this guy to be more than mid, to be more than average. So again, I think you can do some things game plan wise to alleviate some of the pressure, but the pressure doesn't go away. Instead of going on Stiddy, put it on BJ in the defense, put it on Nick Bonito, put it on Jonathan Cooper, put it on Afunga, put it on RJ Harvey, put it on Cortland Sutton, because with Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant most likely going to miss this game, we're going to need a bigger effort from those kind of guys.
Yeah, on the comments here, need a big game from Egram. Sure, why not? I mean, that'd be nice. We'll get into the details of the game itself, and we'll know a lot more as the week progresses when we get back on Altitude Football, Chad Brown and DMac show on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So we'll be back to reflect and look more ahead towards Chad's Patriots and Chad's Broncos all at the same time. Are you going to go down on the sideline and give Mike Vrabel a big hug like you used to do with Belichick?
Also did it with Mike Tomlin as well. Don't forget that one.
Sorry, yeah.
I got accused of getting into the Steeler linebacker huddle and helping them break it down. One of my sideline adventures. I don't know if you remember that one.
I don't remember that one. Did you really do that?
I was dapping up James Ferrier and James Harrison, and they happened to break down right after I was doing that. So someone in the stands texted in to the fan when we were both at the fan.
Yeah.
Accused me of firing up the Steeler linebackers. It's like I was just saying hello to my friends, the guys who I played with.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's why we were fired.
Yes, it's all my fault. Yes.
Yeah, that's the reason. All right. Indiana is driving. They actually had a touchdown just taken away, but they are driving. They're at the third and goal at the 1 yard line. I'll give you a little play-by-play of this before we wrap things up. And I'm sure you have. Well, I'm not actually sure how you feel about Miami. I don't know if you had any big run-ins with Miami back in the day. Did you?
No. The Miami CU fight game at Folsom, that was my rookie year. So I missed that game.
Okay.
I was playing for the Steelers by that point. I think Miami's great for college football. I'm happy that they're back.
Yeah.
I think what Mario Cristobal has done, I got a chance to know him when he was at the coach of Oregon, and I was doing a lot of stuff with Pac-12.
Okay.
So, I love him as a coach. I love that he's adopted the SEC mentality with size and physicality, particularly on the offensive defensive lines. And I think we can learn something about the rebuild he put together at Miami. We should do something like that similar in Boulder, rebuilding from the inside out rather than from the outside in. I'll just leave that one there. But in the end, Indiana is the best team I saw all year. I called them in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State.
All right.
Illinois early in the season. I saw pretty much every team that was in the top 10 in college football. And Indiana was by far the best. They play the cleanest. They execute the best. They don't penalize. They don't get penalized. They don't make dumb mistakes. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. So I got them winning this game, but clearly Miami's making it a tight game, at least here in the first half.
You a Cignetti fan?
Big time. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome dude. Great football coach.
Yeah.
Love everything about him and his program.
Mendoza will play for the Raiders, and will he play well?
I think he's going to be great because he's got the cerebral part of it down. Yeah. He certainly has a great physical skill set, but it's not off the charts, but nor was Tom Brady off the charts. So for him to go to the Raiders to get with a guy who's, couldn't be more cerebral at the quarterback position and to learn from that guy, we could be in danger here in the AFC West if that connection happens.
Well, my big hot take is that the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes going to be a little shaky coming back from the ACL. I think they're going to finish in last place next year. I'm not going to say it's going to stay like that, but I think Mendoza is going to be a hit and hit quick. Now, they have to get the right coach, and they have to figure a lot of other things out. But if you just center everything around Mendoza, his accuracy, Chad, is unreal. And he doesn't go backwards. He does not drift backwards, which is another, and he doesn't take sacks. So those are the things that I think, and Sean Payton's detailed that, like when we're looking at college quarterbacks, check out some of those qualities. And I agree with him on that. And so when you see guys, and I'm not talking about Caleb Williams, by the way, side note, one of the greatest NFL plays, moments, it feels like it's almost a shame, Chad, that the Bears did not hang on to win that game, because that individual play, that moment, was as good as anything you're ever going to see in the NFL, man, just top to bottom.
The physical ability just to escape the rush, and then the arm strength to be able to make that throw.
Crazy.
Bananas. And we've been treated to some really amazing football games this year in the playoffs. So we got to consider ourselves lucky. Certainly there's no dominant team. Everyone is perfectly imperfect, but some of that is making these games just awesome to watch.
All right, we'll save our predictions for Thursday when we join you. I'm looking at a 3rd and goal here from the 1. They had a timeout. It's just a handoff right up the middle. That's all it takes sometimes. That's all it takes, Chad. You don't have to get too fancy.
Nope.
You got big guys. You hand it to a big guy, and he runs over other big guys, and that works. And that's football too, right? It's all football. So now the Hoosiers are up. Well, pending extra point, 10-0. They run away with this one. Is this what we're going to see the rest of the night?
No, Miami's got too much football character. Their physical approach, they will land a few blows. I just think Indiana's just executing at too high of a level. But I expect a reasonably close game at the end.
Are you pulling for Indiana here?
Pulling? No, yeah. I don't root. I just think Indiana's the better team. And again, it's based on an entire season of calling college football games and being in the stadiums and watching all the best teams compete. No one has played as cleanly, as smartly. No one has coached as smartly as Indiana. All those reasons, I've yet to see a chink in their armor. They've had close games. They've had blowouts. They've never blinked. They're just the best team in college football this year.
All right. Well, I have a Kurt Cignetti tattoo on my ass cheek. So, I mean, I guess I am rooting and you're not. But that is the only difference between
tell you Stidham's starting, and that's all I'm going to tell you. And then I'll see you guys on Wednesday.